welcome back to another video, guys. And as you can see behind me, it's been snowing, so it's a little bit chilly down here. But yeah, what I'm going to do, which you can actually just see here, is I'm starting to strip down my rear parcel shelf for the Ae86. Now, I have a very early blue parcel shelf, and these are extremely hard to get hold of. And if you can get hold of them, they're usually, to be fair, completely dilapidated and not really usable, or very, very expensive. So I've had mine a couple of years, and it wasn't the best example, but it's what I could afford, and it was good enough for the money. But what I want to do is strip apart all the fabric on top, because that's really the difficult part to get within these parcel shelves, is the blue fabric. And if I just show you, I've picked up another one from a friend of mine called Chris, and he was selling it cheap. Now, it's not perfect, but it's a very good candidate for me to hopefully transplant the blue fabric off my parcel shelf onto his. And the reason I've done that instead of buying a new one is because his is the earlier like fiberboard, and I'm very particular that I get it as close to original as possible. So yeah, let me show you what I've got and what I've currently been up to. Okay, so this is my original blue parcel shelf, and as you can see, I've just started to pull it away from the edge. Now, this is the issues I've been having, is that it's just completely broken apart, and as you can see on this corner, it's coming away, and it's similar on that corner also. I could possibly have a go at repairing this, and I may do that, but I've bought this one from Chris. Now, this is a slightly different fiberboard, but it's not split on the corners. There's a little crack there, but that's really easy repair. So what I've started doing, as you can see here, is just trying to remove the felt, because this early one, as much as it is blue on the bottom, I painted this to try and hide some of the damage once I glued it. But over time, it's just got worse and worse. It kept falling off the little shelf supports, and it got worse and worse. So this is why I've purchased this one. I'm going to try and remove all this felt. So if the condition of this fiberboard isn't as good as I think initially, I will probably buy some more felt in blue and have this covered, and obviously put the blue cloth from that one onto the bottom of this. But so far it's come off all right. You can see it's just wanting to start to go there, but it's really quite strong. Now, because this side's going to be on show, the repairs I want to realistically do underneath. So once the fabric is on the top, you won't see any damage on this side. This side's a little bit worse, split once again there and here. These seem to be the common places of where these parcel shelves go. But if this is as early as this one, then it is 38, 39 years old. So really, it's done well for its age. And as I said, you can buy these new from Toyota, but only in black. But they're about 250 quid plus. So this I paid next to no money for, and it's worth my time just to see if I can clean it up and basically make one good one out of these two not horrendously bad examples, but well used. So yeah, I'm going to continue to try and strip all the felt off this and clean this up as best I can. And then there are a couple of techniques which I've seen on the internet which you can use with super glue to strengthen this fiberboard. So hopefully it will retain its shape, and once it's back in the car, it won't want to keep falling off and collapsing because it's gone a little bit soft like that. Okay, so decided to bring this home out of the cold down the farm. So I'm starting to remove this sort of like felt fabric almost, and it is pretty difficult, I'm not going to lie. But I've got a little scraper, and slowly but surely just removing it without damaging the wood. So that's going to take a little bit of time, but as I said, I would like to have the board plain and not cover it, as the early parcel shelves should be. To repair the cracks and where it's gone a little bit flimsy, I do have some epoxy glue, a fiberglass repair kit, and then the contact adhesive, which I'll use to apply the blue cloth once that's ready to fit. So this is the original parcel shelf with the blue cloth. It's hard to pick up that it's blue on camera, but yeah, this will need a little bit of cleaning up once I'm ready to stick that onto this new board. Okay guys, so I've brought it outside for a better view. The whole cloth is gone, and I've started sanding down this bit just to smooth it off with some 240. These bits here I'm going to start repairing. These bits I'm going to try and strengthen using some epoxy. But most of the repair is going to be done on this side here. And this is because obviously this is going to be covered by the cloth and you shouldn't be able to see the repairs that I've carried out. So fingers crossed it goes well. But yeah, I think it looks worse than it is. I have seen a lot worse. So yeah, I'll crack on, finish flattening that back, and mix up some epoxy. Okay, so I've kept some of the sawdust, because what I'm hoping to do is on some of these light cracks here, I just want to fill them with a little bit of glue and just rub in some of the sawdust, so it looks a little bit less obvious. But yeah, ones like this, I'm going to have to try and get as flat as possible initially. As said, I'm going to glue it from the other side, but I am going to have to carry out some repairs on this side. Possibly using PVA glue, because I know PVA glue dries very clear. So I may have to just use some PVA glue just to hold these down. But the epoxy might work just as well, so I'll see how I get on. I'll let that dry, and then I'll yeah, rub off the excess, and that should look good. Okay, so these corners have set. I've done both sides, and they've now gone really rigid, which is nice. So they sort of come apart in layers, and I was putting some epoxy in each layer, and that's what's made it go hard. So yeah, these bits here, this is where it relies, the weight of the board relies on the side panels, and this is where they tend to collapse and hence crack here. Now this crack I have filled in and sprinkled some of the sawdust on to hide it, and the same here, and I'm really happy with the outcome so far. So I'll let that set properly and I'll flat this back. But for now, with regards of this being very, very flimsy, what I'm going to do is actually open it up ever so slightly like that, put in epoxy in the center, and then clamp it, and hopefully it will go rigid like these corners. Okay guys, so that is pretty much done. Now, it was far from a conventional way of restoring fiberwood, or fiberboard, sorry. And it does look a bit of a mess, but remember, you won't see any of this because it'll be covered by the fabric. But all this is wood filler. Just used this stuff here just to make it smooth, so when the cloth is on there's no sort of lumps and bumps. And then what I've done is I've gone over with some PVA just to seal it in, and yeah, it's gone very, very hard, so there's no flex in the board anymore. So this is the underside, and it is far from perfect, but definitely better than it was before, and it's rigid, which is the main thing. I've just lined the edges here on both sides with some PVA glue, and hopefully that stops it from being, well, yeah, it's gone really, really stiff, which is brilliant. Because these bits here, just around here, are where it sits on the shelf support, and where these go soft, the parcel shelf then falls into the boot, and it actually produces more damage over time, hence why it cracks here, and I think along here. So, really happy with it. Okay, so I've just put down the old parcel shelf on the table, and I have made a start at trying to remove the fabric. And as you can see, the damage has gone all the way through. It is taken off some of the layering of the wood, but it just scratches off, so that should clean up quite easily. And surprisingly, I would have expected this to fade over the years, but looking at the inside of the fabric, it's very similar colour, so actually I think it's done really well. And it's thicker than initially thought, so that's good. Overall, the condition of the fabric is excellent. There is a little tear here where it's got weak, but hopefully I should be able to repair that as best I can. There's the other bit of damage there. You can just see it's just wanting to go. It really is past its sell-by date, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm just going to slowly peel this off. The glue has probably had its day for 40 years. But yeah, I want to peel it off. Hopefully I won't damage any of it. I even have the original blue cords. So this is nice. And underneath, what I'm going to do, these are in better condition, these rails, than the rails that came on that shelf originally. So I will reuse these, pull out the cords. Hopefully those knots aren't too tight. And yeah, I fix it with this adhesive. I'm no upholsterer, but it should be relatively easy as long as I clean up the fabric as best I can. And yeah, hopefully it will come off nice. But as you can see, a closer look at this. Oh, there you go. It is literally fallen apart. It was far worse than the condition of this one I've got off Chris. This one probably does look horrendous, but honestly, the condition of it, considering the age, is incredible compared to this. But yeah, as you can see, that was the original colour of the board. It wasn't painted, this was me. And this is the reason why I wanted the fabric off the underside of this, to show the fiberboard, because that's how this was originally. I want it to look as original as possible. So yeah, I'll stop waffling on, and I will remove this fabric, give it a clean, and hopefully it goes on the new board all good. Okay, so as you can see here on the front, by removing the fabric, I can get to these little tabs which hold in the front rail, and on the rear you can just see the beginning of one there. I assume there's a couple more if I start pulling this back. So I have to remember to fit these rails before I fit the fabric to the new shelf, because otherwise obviously the fabric's got to come off again. And there you go, guys. The remains of the original parcel shelf. Okay, so that's those support bars back on. Really easy job. And it's yeah, surprising how heavy that this has now become with those bars. So this is the state of the original board. Both corners have completely gone. Same there, just as this one. But other than that, everything else, it seems really rigid. So I'm sort of unsure whether it might be worth giving this a go with my fiberglass kit and actually restoring it. But if I do, it won't be for a little while. But yeah, I might have a go. So yeah, in theory, this is now ready to have the cloth once it's cleaned up. Now that's just positioned where I'd like it. And what I'm going to do is just peel back one half. apply this, stick it, and then do the other half, so I know that it's exactly where I want it. So just got to leave that for 30 seconds or so. Just put a little bit on the cloth as well, and then I bond those two together and just rub it all in to the shape, and hopefully it works. Looking good, really happy with that. So I'm going to let that set, and then what I'll do is I will do these individually, and I'll just wrap these under and then glue them to the underside. But extremely happy with the outcome of that. Okay, so managed to get the edging all secured. Just used a bit of cardboard and sort of sprayed against the cardboard so I wouldn't get any adhesive on the board. I did manage to get a little bit though. It's like stringy, as you can probably see on the floor. So yeah, but it's on, and yeah, it's gone on really well, to be fair. And I quite like the fact that this board has retained some of its sort of aged marks. I kind of want it to look clean, but age correct, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's brilliant. So I'm going to wait for that to dry for a little bit, head down to the farm and try it on the car, and hopefully it will fit really well. Okay guys, so as you just saw, it fits and it looks just as I expected it to. So I'll just disconnect it again from these hooks. And it fits on the supports really well. There's always a bit of a void. Same that side as well. I know the lighting is pouring, I apologise for that. But yeah, it fits really well. That's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching again, guys. Really do appreciate it. But this was a job I've been putting off for so many months, probably almost a year. And I'm actually now really glad I've done it, and I'm really chuffed with the end result. I know it probably wasn't the most conventional way of repairing the hardboard or the fiberboard, but that's how I chose to do it, and it seems to have worked. I only did this purely as a budget exercise. I could have bought a brand new Toyota parcel shelf, taken off the black cloth and applied the blue, but that is expensive. This probably cost me less than 70 quid, and they are worth silly money. And I think it's kind of nice to keep the kind of originality of it. So it's not perfect, and a lot of the things in the car aren't perfect, and I like that, they're age related. So as I said, I really do appreciate you watching. I am making progress on the air ride installation, but it is a little bit slow, still waiting on some parts, but they should be here at any point. Yeah, thanks for watching, appreciate it as always. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hope to see you again.